So I'm starting with a bit from a cat flea treatment packaging, some thread, all come in handy, toothpicks, sharp pointy things, cork base, obviously some beads, and yeah, gonna make a ruster this episode. So I'm going to start with some toothpicks. Any do, but these ones in particular have quite a good shape, like a hooky claw. But what you'll find is super glue just doesn't stick to them. They won't stick to each other or anything else. And yeah, I know people like burn them and stuff, but I haven't had the best experiences. So I use a tiny bit of glue just to kind of like put like liquid stick them together, because they're not going to hold. Yeah, flash out a little claw and then wrap it with thread, because super glue sticks to thread. It's gonna work. And there might be some interesting textures at the end. Yeah, at this point I was just dousing things in super glue. I wouldn't advise it. It's not the best and you get lots of things stuck to you. Yeah, just cover everything with thread, holds it all together, and it becomes quite tough itself. Pop a little bead in the end as the joint there, so I can then stick it to the body. I think I left the hole facing outwards just so I had something to put a bit of purchase, a bit more things to stick on. And again, the more to this episode, covering thread. So now I'm sticking on a little bit of metal. I made a little loop at the end, and this is going to be hopefully strong enough to hold the entire model. I'll do one of these on each feet again, super glue and thread, but this way I'll have like minimum points of contact, so yeah, it'll be quite gravity defying, I hope. And yeah, size it up, and you can see that should give it enough kind of strength and a good structure to hang the entire model off. So some magic, ooh, and this too. Magic. This was the frustrating bit. I'm not sure what it is. It just came in a cat flea treatment packaging, and I thought it's kind of got a good vibe to it, kind of hippie. Yeah, drill a hole, poke some metal through there. I've been using like armature wire, clip it to the bead, and then super glue and thread. I guess it worked for anything really, not anything that won't glue. Just stick some glue on it and wrap thread around and it'll just dry. As you see with two legs, you can now start fitting it to the base and see if the loops work. I hope so. And it does. For the front, I just made the legs a bit thinner to give them a bit more like army look, and some beads just going up in size, super glued into the body. I'm going to be covering everything with epoxy button as well. Epoxy button, putty. Too much going on in the world. So yeah, classic Milliput green stuff mix. A couple of tools, always good to have to hand. And Vaseline, again, make sure it's modeling Vaseline. That's more of like a U thing to name, be strict with. So yeah, about 50-50 of each I normally do. I don't really measure, but you know, unless you're making something for NASA, I think you should be fine. We can wing it. So I'm just going to start fleshing out the body, and as well I'm not sure what plastic that stuff is, kind of like rubbery feeling, so I don't think glue is going to stick to that well, so just cover it so you know things stick to putty. It's easy than coming over thread. That would be a bit extreme. Other putties are available. You know, green stuff and milliput seem quite easily accessible. And yeah, I just sculpted all in. Get in all the cracks, because you never know when things need to go, and I don't know if super glue doesn't stick, will paint. Best not to risk it. Now I've got that good base, I can start making the shape a bit more. So I kind of want like fenders, a bit like a carver, so kind of like cool curve to make it a bit more machiny and less like cat flea treatment. So I just marked up a little head here, and all I did got a bead, covered it with the green stuff milliput, and scraped it away to make eyes for a skull, and pulsing off the teeth. I put a little eye on the top, so you'll see later how it's going to work. I think it went well. But yeah, base bit of sculpture, sculpted, really quite simple. If you want to know more, leave a comment, I could look at doing some videos. And just a little half a bead as a shoulder pad and a good kind of anchor point for sticking more stuff on. And the file, so doing this well ventilated with a mask, I don't know, it's like a really fine dust. And yeah, just keep cleaning it off, keep tidying it up after, but definitely health and safety first. With this, I did say I got a bit of sprue and another bit of the toothpick, just kind of like use up those. And I'm just going to make a little, just a bit to kind of like bulk out the bottom. I've got an idea for the shape I want, and rather than, you know, sticking loads of green stuff and waiting hours for that to dry. And I got EVA foam, took ages to find some, and yeah, it's a godsend. It just works kind of for everything, and I find you can use it with plastic art to get like different effects. I'll show you that in a bit. Yeah, always remembering the moment super glue and bits of thread just to make sure that is stuck. EVA foam, it just does it. No matter, you just stick it on. Brilliant texture, really malleable. Definitely chuffed. Would advise. So I was going to add some detail, and what I found, some liquid green stuff by Citadel, probably others available, but this is, it doesn't give you like a smooth finish at all, but for rusty I think it's going to work, and for what I need it for I think it'll be perfect. And I just give everything a cover, just kind of like even things, give like an even texture, and you can start building 3D texture, so leave some bits uncovered, so when you paint it then you start to get that kind of like rusty decay, like it's eating the surface down. And now paint's gonna stick, super glue's gonna stick. I think we have officially passed the thread and super glue, which is nice. Did its job, but there's only so many times you can super glue thread to yourself, and it really doesn't come off as easy. And now beads, little rhinestones. I found a little punch as well, it's been perfect, so I made loads of rivets, tipped loads of rivets everywhere, so I need to make more rivets, but a lot easier than before. I guess I haven't really said what he's going to be, he, they. So, a ruster, I definitely feel like a junker bot, and I've got like a story idea that goes with him. I'm gonna say him just because life's easier, but it's not him. Definitely it's a robot, isn't it? So like, you know. Yeah, Zealot or Junker Zealot. kind of like a religious tinge to him. But I'll get into that later. So here is EVA foam sandwiching a bit of plasticard. So you've got EVA each side, plasticard in the middle, super glued together, a lot firmer, and you could do some really cool stuff with it. I don't know if it's been done before. If not, I'm laying claim to it because I'm pretty chuffed. And yeah, best even drawn it, so it's so much easier to cut things out, start getting the insides down. You'll see, it comes out quite good. I think it's like just that extra strength. So with the EVA you get more curls, but with plasticard you get like sharp corners, you can bend it, and it doesn't just kind of like flex, it actually bends and stays in position. If anybody's got any hobby knife recommendations, that might be good. I kind of like stuck with this Stanley knife. It does the job, but yeah, it's not very nice. So he's going to cut some little bits of damage in there, just for the shape. Some more like on the edges, kind of look a bit peeled and like it's been slashed there. And there you can see that really nice little angular bend, which you wouldn't get from just EVA, and you probably wouldn't get the same texture from just plasticard. But this, so when you start like distressing it, then what you'll find is if you cut just the EVA foam, you get this really nice layered effect where you've got kind of like the EVA foam on top, which looks a bit like eroded because it's got more of a kind of like material texture, and then little slithers exposed of the plasticard. So you've got literal pools for when you do washes, it'll build up, give nice detail. But yeah, you get like two different textures as well. So I was quite chuffed with how that came out, and literally just like score some edges. It's quite good as well because the plasticard doesn't take the knife as well, it's a bit slippery. So it will mainly just cut the EVA foam and save your green stuff. I had a load left over, so I just kind of thought I'd stretch it out into a little wire. And always useful. So I started adding some detail to what is going to be the body. I hope it's shaping up and that it looks a bit like it's supposed to, unless like kind of like a child's party vomited on it. Lots of weird colours. Basin always helps. We'll get there. So I'm going to add some armour, so just strips of EVA foam and plasticard again. And a bit more detail. So this shoulder pad again I made with the EVA plasticard. It took it really well. It was kind of a off-camera wing. So I'll look into if anybody's interested in that kind of like armour, because you can, I got some nice edges on it, some nice 3D details, but I literally kind of bent it around, drew little triangles where the folds were so I could cut them out and then stick it straight together, so it's got like a nice even bend to it. And I did have some nice kind of like battle texture come out from kind of where the bends and it didn't curve so well. Yeah, I think that's quite a good amount of detail. You pop that on. An interesting silhouette. I've got a plan for the big shoulder. A little turn. Now for some extra details. So I've drilled some holes, I got some guitar leads, guitar strings, I'm going to pop in there. Again, get that junker kind of like that look, there's almost a bit too much going on, but it's bypassing other things that have been damaged. Bit of narrative maybe. And yeah, few more cables. Oh, just green stuff and green stuff tentacle ruler. It does some good cables as well. What I did was very close to the body for the first load, then for the detail ones let them kind of hang out so you get that chaotic look, whilst also not use too many. And yeah, maybe a final go over the green stuff, liquid. Might do it again, but it just gives build up those textures, get some like 3D areas. And he's going to have a big two-handed weapon, so what I've done is just scraped again, you know, don't breathe none of it in, get a mask and stuff, well ventilated, but scraped down some sprue, and then just use the, you know, cut off little bits to make the fingers, stick them on. A winger takes a bit of practice. And yeah, with this 2 beads, wrap an EVA foam as the shoulder joints, some more sprues, and beads as the joints. So I want him to have 2 arms, but like in the same shoulder, so yeah, just to carry the heavy weapon and give it that asymmetrical look. Let's give those. I want one to be different from the other, so one's going to be armor plated, whilst the other one looks a bit older, like all the armor's fallen off, and it fits perfectly into the shoulder pad. So I've only attached one of the arms, well, the forearms, just so, as I kind of didn't think I should have really made it all at once, because trying to fit 2 hands to 2 arms whilst getting the handle in the right position is nigh on impossible, so I'm going to stick one on and then just work the other forearm to the size I've got. Yeah, secure the handle to the base. I think in the silhouette's coming out now, it is good to design towards a silhouette, because especially when you're making small things, the detail will get lost even easier. But if the silhouette's strong, it's always going to look good. I've been inspired by the use of chain recently, and I've had a go before, but it kind of didn't come out that well. But I got a feel, especially with like the junk aesthetic, I'm feeling the chain is a good way to make something look ornate when you don't really care about things looking ornate. It's kind of like that functional society, maybe just because it works and looks intricate. Is that enough for it to be decorative? And now, for his two-handed weapon, I don't know what to make. I want to go like a flaily, macy thing. So like attach some beads to get a big bulky shape. I'm going to continue with the chain. So I think that idea there, not just as might be bits of a symbol of kind of junker culture, Theroma, but that idea there is not, you know, you don't want to get it from there. Not as a big heavy metal thing. He's also wrap a chain around it. Not very friendly. So what I've done now is attach small beads to the head to make a neck, and just some cut up EVA foam as some kind of armor. But I want him to almost, I kind of got a story which, yeah, it kind of gives a bit more depth to this model, and the idea that it's almost a bit like, as a Zealot, you know, it's a bit of a religious icon within the Junkers culture, this certain cult of Junkers in particular. And with the story of the model itself, the head and the body weren't always together, let's say, but I'll get into that later. There's an upgrade system going on. There, in all of this multicolour grimness, but quite chuffed. Now to go into the pit of 3.0. Just a box I painted with 3.0, black 3.0, but yeah, good for taking photos in. feel for the model. And what I've done here is mix them down 1 to 1 as kind of like a wash. It's a heavy wash, but it's not, you know, it's not just gonna clog everything up. So yeah, with the painting, I think generally the colours are shown on the screen so you can like keep along. But yeah, so I'll go in a bit into the lore of this creature. I think I've got the name, which is the Witch, so that's why it's gonna be this. Yeah, it's got a kind of like priestly undertone in its culture. So I'll just dive right in. So, like, I envision this character as part of a caravan of nomadic junkers who kind of like travel all of Tapu, go from arena to arena, and you know they are just Bangarang. You know, that's how they make their money. That's, you know, where all the trade comes from. And in this caravan in particular is generally based on the mechanics of Furuma. So they're kind of like pure rusters right into tech. They just, you know, constantly making things. And especially, you know, these ones in particular, bots for the battles, so they want to keep getting better. All in kind of like praise of Ferroma, you know, to keep the machine rust god happy. So they generally make stock bots, you know, which they take to battles, kind of like fodder. You know, they've got some good ones who have survived, but you know, the day-to-day job is repair these bots, put them out to battle, get some money. And while this is all happening, you know, they're still traveling around the world, so a few of them might end up, say, at the head of Ferroma. And when, you know, they kind of like, they normally do their battling, but when they're there, they can have a kind of like enlightenment experience, you know, where they realise they're God, and the God of the Junkers, you know, so it's not just kind of like all machines, but their God is a machine. And they, you know, abused by humans, you know, that's why they're kind of nomadic, they can't really settle down. And that has kind of turned into kind of dislike of humans, so they don't want to settle down with them. The bots don't really see the Junkers, they never see any flesh, so they don't know what they are, and they all praise Ferroma, so they're kind of like, well, it's sound, innit? Nothing about it. So then they kind of get that idea, well, they're persecuted by humans, but they are gods and machines, so therefore is machine kind God and more like chosen than humanity. So this kind of seed is planted in the AI, and over time it starts, you know, like that's a big thing. You're going from like being a robot, like, you know, a toaster fighting washing machines, to suddenly believing that you might be a bit more relevant in the world than you thought. And in particular, this cult, you know, it's rusters, they love rust, but because of this kind of like deharmonization, there's a certain rust which is more profitable, and that's blood rust. So that idea that because they hate, maybe not hate, they see themselves as the gods, and humanity is kind of like somehow still being able to terrorize them, blood from a human is going to be quite valuable in that kind of context. And again, there's a lot of the other junkers will say it's fanatical. They, you know, they're just kind of standard. But this cult in particular, I've seen the worst side of humanity. So they, you know, things happen. And these bots in particular, having been awakened, they want to praise Ferroma. They want to kind of like, you know, point out these injustices and get their own blood rust. You know, the more blood rust you've got, the more you're committed to Ferroma's cause, the more you care, and the more honour. And kind of, yeah, it means something to them. So these bots then start, you know, really enjoying the arena, especially meaty ones. You know, some of the uppers, if you can get them out of like the little sardine cans, you can get a bit of blood iron from them. And then this is kind of how the darker side comes, because the Zealots in particular, who this is going to be, they're kind of like an upgraded standard bot. So when a bot has proved itself and has, you know, got enough bloodlust to be deemed closer to Pheroma than the others, especially, you know, we're seeing a lot of battle, they're normally quite battered by this point. They're kind of like turned into the priestly form of the Zealot, where a part of them, so with the witch, generally the head, the rest of the body is all being given afterwards. So the witch would have started life as a kind of like serpentine bot, but through kind of like devotion and again all the bloodlust has elevated itself to Zealot position, so it's given the big body, which itself is quite legendary, as well as, you know, bigger weapons. Only got one arm, because in theory the other arm controls the other two arms on the body. So there's kind of like a little bit of logic there. But a Zealot has to... Zealot? I have no idea. I don't really care. Don't know if you do. But yeah, they have to get to this position, so earn the body. And the body itself is mysterious because no one really knows where they came from. There's only a few of them. But in kind of like junker legend and, you know, kind of word of mouth, they're the fingertip of Pheroma. So just the tip of one of his fingers, and that key, they were forged from it somehow, but that dropped to Earth one day, Earth taboo, and may have been a cause of some of the desertness. That's what they believe anyway. They believe the finger touched taboo and the desert sprouted from that, and that's where the good rust came from. So possibly, you know, the ancient machines imbued with Pheroma's power, but again, take that as you will. But yeah, they're kind of like maintained by the mechanics of Pheroma after being, you know, rediscovered after centuries. And they've maintained them, and, you know, then there was no life in them, so they now install honourable bots inside to let them be the hand of Pheroma again. And the witch in particular is very nasty, so due to those claws and just kind of like prowess, you know, it began life as a, like I said, a serpentine kind of bot. Serpentine? So it's quite sneaky, so when suddenly it's put into a body which is all about, you know, power, you know, viciousness, it adapted very well. And what it likes to do is use its claws to kind of pick away the flesh, especially on meaty ones. It'll try to pick away the flesh and leave only the machine left to kind of like shame it, to be like, without all the meat, you're not that effective. And then to finish it off, it bashes head in. I can imagine watching this would be quite a sadistic scene. And the Zealots in particular will rile the crowd up. You know, like it's one of those the crowd love to come see them because it's always a good fight. But they are insulting, they're grim, and while this may seem as just kind of like a typical response to, you know, a fighting situation or against people, you know, the crowd will invade the arena, it's actually a bit of a darker tinge where, like we know about the mechanics of Pheroma, they like blood iron, they like blood rust. So Zealots have the ability and the strength to like lengthen out battles, make, you know, showboat, make it a really disrespectful scene to the other bots, riling the crowd up for invading the arena. And as soon as that happens, the Zealots, you know, they're in their element because they'll just turn into a bloodlust and just, you know, try to take out as much of the crowd as possible. You know, like the crowd, I'm sure some people kind of suspect it's a tactic, but most people just, you know, they think they're invading the arena when really they're falling into the Zealot's trap, which is, give me your blood. Give me your blood, bro. So yeah, and I think it kind of ties in with my last build, where, you know, that build was created through kind of being like destroyed by junkers and rebuilt. So you know, there could be a little crossover there. Maybe all of these guys know each other. Maybe not from the best backgrounds, but you know, that's all good. Something for the future. And yeah, if you did watch my last video, thank you. And I think this is quite a different build. He's a bit bigger, a bit more intricate, and a bit more rusty. So yeah, first I've tried it. This is the green stuff rust texture, and it's not bad. It's definitely a texture. I think I've been looking at kind of like dirty down rust effect for the colours, but what I found with this, I just thought layer it on, see how it goes. And I'm chuffed with it. I wasn't 100% sure whether it would work the way I wanted it, but I would use it again. Like, I'm gonna have to because I got a big part of it. And then the tricky, I never remember what it's called, but it's the blue copper rust from Citadel, and it can sometimes look brilliant. It can sometimes not. I guess in short. But I thought, yeah. Get all those rusty textures in, all the different bits of metal. I think it's coming out quite well. The base little detail is some molds I got from Green Stuff World and some acrylic resin cast. And yeah, for little like details like base and stuff, I would definitely look into those molds because it's a lot cheaper than getting your like 3D printed or some kit bash stuff. I also found for the rust, give it a bit of add some more yellows in there. It brings out all the colour. As you may have noticed, there's kind of like a trough in this model that I haven't really talked about yet. And continuing with the lore, I wanted it to kind of be like a shrine. So to give the witch a bit more of that like religious leader feel, not just are they kind of with the new enlightened mindset, a bit more prophetical, let's say. But yeah, what you'll find is as the mechanics of Farum are repairing any kind of like general day-to-day maintenance or from a sort of specific fight, they light candles in reverence to Farum, and the witch will kind of like hum out code and different like religious rituals to kind of like encourage. And for itself, it believes in all this very, very deeply. And yeah, it was quite fun to make the candles. That was just green stuff, kind of rolled up, little tubes, little tubey things, covered with that liquid green stuff, and you get that really waxy like effect. It does dry well. I'm quite chuffed with it. It looks a bit like kind of wax upon wax upon wax. Here's a little dry brush of yellow, just for the rust to kind of give it that tonal effect. I think it's a tau light ochre or something. But yeah, I think just like by highlighting those raised textures, it really looks more realistic. And especially like over the, I know we said we wouldn't talk too much about the thread again, but the way the thread dries with the glue and the green stuff goes over, you get this really nice like ridgy effect, and it doesn't look like thread. It looks like nicks taken up the metal over years, or kind of like weird little bits of weld. I would advise to at least give it a go, or if you've got any plastic that doesn't stick, just wrap it up in thread, see what happens. It might work. If it doesn't, oh well, but best case scenario, you've got a new coping mechanism when it doesn't play fair. So yeah, thank you for staying to this point. I hope it hasn't been too boring a video. It is a bit longer than my last one, but it is a lot more model to make. And I find sometimes my painting isn't the most efficient. I might end up doing like 3 dry brushes during the process when I could have done one at the end. But sometimes it's fun to enjoy the process, see where it goes. Especially when you're making models for yourself, because it doesn't matter. It's all a learning curve. And sometimes it's like the little mistakes. It's not the mistakes, it's how you solve the mistakes to really, level you up. You, not just in skill, but confidence in knowing, like, I can have a go. What's the worst that can happen? And the more kind of like more retorts you have to these issues, the stronger your response is always going to be. I think that's in a lot of terms of life, but in particular, make some mistakes, because then you know how to fix them and avoid them. It's not big ones. Do when you're young. You don't want to be old making big mistakes. It's hard to come back from that. So a couple of dry brushes and washes, just trying to get the tone now and make sure. I want it to be rusty and grim, but a bit of me still thinks, it's got an official position as a kind of like cult leader. It's got a little bit of pizzazz. But yeah, thank you for watching the video, getting through. I think I'm gonna do 4, so halfway through, 2 more bots for Bangarang, and I think I'm feeling an upper for the next video, probably like a month later. Should all go to plan. I think I managed to keep this one same kind of schedule, so yeah, quite chuffed. Coming up with the final shot, so thank you loads for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Any questions or anything, drop a comment. But enjoy the final shots and see you next month in the mountain cabin. Do nappa.